The program is still the Eastern Business Report. I'm still in Namdi, and recently the entire public square and public space in Nigeria has been overtaken with discussions on the just concluded matriculation exams conducted by JAMB. Parents, students, and all sorts of stakeholders have had their issues regarding the results, and when it came out, there was a wave of disbelief as students who were expected to do very well found themselves looking at results they could not relate to. Now, this widespread issue happened to be in the southeast and Lagos, with many complaining that perhaps it had tribal intonations, being that it was just the southwest and Lagos. And even the argument of Lagos could not defeat the claim of tribalism, as most of the areas hit in Lagos included the Amuwo, Dofin, Koka, Aguda, Oshodi, Solo, areas dominated by southeasterners. Now, JAMB has come out. JAMB has said there was a glitch. Students will rewrite the exams. Parents would have to pay for transport for people to go again. This has brought a bit of distrust. And if the likes of Alex Onya and other people had not met JAMB, would we have known there was this? Now, with me this morning is someone who has been following the story, the head of news, Afia, and the Eastern Eye, Alex Ogbodo, is here. Good morning and good to have you here.
Good morning, Nnamdi.
Let me start from the beginning. How can we say we can dismiss the worries of those who say there might have been a tribal angle to it?
There can be. Remember, that's when you do a CBT, that's someone who sees the back end.
Yes.
So, and then remember, JAMB is not in total control of the CBT centers. They license people to organize these things. The only thing is that it gets up to the JAMB portal. But there are people who can see the back end. It's not Isha Koloede that sits at the back end of the JAMB portal to look at the results as they are coming in. And I mean, the real JAMB website and the exam portal are not the same. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. So what I sense is that there has been some laxity. Someone went to sleep. Obviously, no one looked at the results when they came, and they just pushed it. They didn't notice the discrepancies, the problems they had with the results and everything. It was only when they saw the outcry, when people who could ask them questions asked them, and they started explaining, and they discovered, maybe we should have taken a second look. One thing again, you take an exam today and you release it tomorrow. Why the rush, really?
No, I mean, if it's computer-based.
Yeah.
I've done computer-based exams there. ACCA, I sat down there, I saw my results as I finished.
I understand that. But then, if you are not in total control of the technology, you shouldn't be in a hurry.
I think they should go the way of the ACCA. As soon as you finish your exam, right there, your result is there. You want to contest anything, right there, apply for your... Because there's nobody to,
That's right, but this is the problem I'm noticing with things that happen in Nigeria.
Yeah.
You are looking at your phone, you are seeing a 4G service, but 4G sign, but you cannot get a 4G browsing experience. So some of the CBT centers obviously may have had problems. But then the argument you presented, which is about the tribal angle to it, there's always a tribal angle to everything in Nigeria. To everything in Nigeria, because I already saw some write-ups from people who are sweet-tongued about anything that does not favor the Southeast. They were already saying, okay, finally you people did not come first, you people did not do this.
Have been closed down.
So, those kind of colorations. But at the end of the day, you cannot defeat the fact that some of the brightest brains this country has produced came from the South. Nobody, even if you hit your head on the wall, it is still the truth.
So since we're talking of bright brains and since we're talking of controversy, one thing, we had if you remember the last JAMB, we had the May Summer saga.
Yes.
The young lady who scored such a high result that they said she paid to manipulate her result. Until the end of it, even after the girl was, even though she didn't look very comfortable, admitting that she manipulated her results, which I'm sure if you ask her, how did you do it? She can't tell you. The father still maintained till today that his daughter has been forced and been told to say this, and that he still stood on his ground till today, that his daughter was forced to say it, she did not manipulate any results, that she does not even have the resources to manipulate the results. Where would she get the money or the resources to do it? And it all started from her scoring what was the highest result then, and then suddenly there was an outcry that she changed her results couldn't have been an Igbo girl that scored the highest in JAMB. With all these things that have happened this year, maybe because she was one person, and maybe I'm conspiracy theory now. Maybe she was one person, it worked, they decided to try it on the whole region. And of course, that has backfired. Should we revisit Midsummer's case now? See what has happened this year?
I mean, I think that what could have happened was to give Mmesoma another exam. I think that could have proved something. I'm not quite sure in all that saga that anyone asked her, okay,
come and take the exam again.
Come and take the exam again. I mean, that could have answered a lot of questions. Whether she was even close to what that result represented in the first place. I think that's the best way to settle it. Because if the father insists, my daughter did not do this, another thing to do will be, okay, give her another exam. Give her time to read whatever it is and give her another exam. Controlled environment. Let her take the exam. And the result should pop up right to her face there, just like you explained.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that that's what's supposed to happen. So, but then we have not seen that. And I'm going back to who is controlling the back end. Because these are the guys who did all this are sitting somewhere now, laughing or crying, because they know a lot of people will lose their jobs because of this.
The explanation Professor Ishak Oloyede gave, said there was an update patch that hadn't been done. And my question is this, being an IT guy myself, why is there any patch or anything that affects only Southeasterners? Why is there something that needs to be separately updated that can identify a particular group of people?
A number of people have said this, that the secret memo against the Southeast, it's not in the open. Maybe there was also something that was carried out during the colonial days. All the documents they used to run the affairs when most of Africa was under colonization. Finally, those documents were declassified, and that's how we saw them. So maybe at a point, some of those documents, if they are in a document, those things will come out. They will be declassified at a point. Maybe when an Igbo man becomes president, those documents will be declassified and we will see them. All these things are coming from the whole thing that, all right, who were the people that were very vehement about getting the independence? Nnamdi Azikiwe. I mean, let's see, we're not going to run away or deny who we are because we are at a disadvantage in the country. All right, you don't want us to be president. Who gave Nigeria independence? If Nnamdi Azikiwe did not create all the newspapers he had, when he came back from the US, worked in Ghana, came back to Nigeria, started West African Pilot, started the nationalistic movement, joined, what's his name, Herbert Macaulay, and all that, everything that happened from that time onwards, it was sheer willpower of Nnamdi Azikiwe. Nobody can deny that. So if you don't want to allow people from his talk an opportunity to rise to the highest level, you are still holding the country down. One I was saying the other day at the PDP caucus meeting that until an Igbo man becomes president, Nigeria will not become an issue. So that something is happening, but some people are afraid of speaking out. If you continue to find a way to hold down a particular section of the country, but that particular section of the country actually represent the reason why the country is still one. Because there is no part of Nigeria you will go to, you will not find an Igbo man. What more do you need from a tribe or from an ethnic nationality that they believe in the country? What more do you need? The Igbos were at the receiving end of everything. Even right before the war, the program was on. People were being killed on their way. People are running away, they are being killed. After everything, they are still here, keeping the country together, doing businesses others don't want to get into. They are not controlling the highest level of business, but they are controlling an important and an essential part of business in the country. All those things people are running away from doing, keeping the country going. Southeasterners are doing them, motor parts, patent medicine, and different other things, trading. Nobody wants to go into that. Anywhere you get to, you try to build up that community. You call whatever you call it, they are building housing estates. They are investing in the community where they find themselves. But they don't find them fit to rise at the highest level. So how do you explain that an organization like JAMB will have a software problem, and that software problem manages to affect results about only people from the Southeast? I mean, that's an interesting coincidence.
That's my question. That you say it's an update. You know, I'm saying as an IT person myself, why is there a protocol? Why is there any line of code in your program that has to do with a particular tribe that when there is no update,
it is not a line
only
of
that
code.
tribe gets affected?
It
means that somebody deliberately
No, it is not a line of. It's not even a line of code. The moment you are filling in for JAMB, you fill your state of origin. Once you fill in your state of origin, you land at a particular place.
But that's my point. I'm saying I'm looking at it from the programming level. Why is there a patch that needs updating? Why is there something that is reading states of origin and reading only particular states of origin?
Because they have flagged people with
it means that there's a flag.
That's what it is. So at the end of the day,
updating.
So you have finally embarrassed the whole country now because you're targeting a particular ethnic group. It doesn't make sense. This cannot continue. It's not sustainable. The discrimination is not sustainable. There's an adage in Igbo that says that when you hold something that belongs to a child and keep your hands high, at a point your hands will become painful and you bring it down. That will happen with Nigeria, and it's going to happen soon. It's going to happen soon. They can't keep holding it up. You can't keep doing this and you think there will be no consequences. Nigeria will keep self-destructing until it becomes fair to everyone in the country. The Igbos are actually not saying favor us only. They are just saying provide a level playing field. Because already people from here know how to take care of themselves. But you continuously hold them down, you continuously make the conditions tougher for them. You know, if every other person has tasted presidency, you don't want them to taste it. Anytime it's their turn, something crops up. Conveniently, everyone agrees it has to be someone else. At a point, the country will be in so much turmoil that you will have no choice but to just announce it yourself. That maybe these guys should just take this. It's not the discrimination is not sustainable. It's not sustainable.
Now, at every given time, there has been this type of issue. The Igbos have always found a way to profit from their pain, so to speak.
That's right.
The Southeast was destroyed, you know, the modern trader was born, who can turn 1 naira to 2.
That's correct.
2 naira to 100. Then you had, after June 12, the Osabiola, when, you know, Igbos had to flee, and then this constant movement back and forth and understanding that they always need to come home. We saw the expansion. We went from a few well-known Igbo transport brands to suddenly having a lot of them. Now that we are seeing these sorts of things, we are already seeing the budding seeds of it. We know the Southwestern education is something they take very seriously. Ogun State alone has, I think, about 16 or 18 private universities, you know. But in the Southeast, we started seeing a few. Enugu, for instance, has Caritas, Godfrey Okoye, Coal City, Maduka University.
Peaceland.
So
Peaceland University.
Peaceland University. So my question is, do you think that this behavior of JAMB will now strike that chord again in the Igbo man, that will suddenly see the Igbo man become the edupreneur and start
it's going to happen.
I don't want to say going haywire, but suddenly you start seeing these Igbo universities and secondary schools popping up all over the place in Nigeria.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I think that we know how to take the gauntlet in this type of thing and find out the reason why your children are going to school outside the East. Do the feasibility study. It's about the quality, the standard, teachers, the teaching environment. What is there in achieving it? There are very, very high-level private secondary schools. I don't want to start mentioning them now. But I know the places where people go and queue to actually register their children. In fact, for you to register your child, you will have started applying maybe a year before. So it's possible. And the billionaires in Igbo land are watching. And with everything that has happened around the 2023 elections, they already know how not to place their very sensitive investments outside of the Southeast. It has started happening. we will see a surge. We're going to have many more private universities in Southeast, many more, because of course, for you to have many more universities here, you would need many more secondary schools because something must feed the other.
Yes.
You have to first of all start building the primary schools, the secondary schools, and then the university. Don't just come and start building university. You have to have something that will feed that institution. So it's especially for those that can afford it, that's the best thing to do.
But you know, there's also the thing of with Igbo people being Igbo people, you'll find that a lot of the people that will now attend university will come from the south, the middle belt.
Yeah.
They will be the ones to flood the southeast.
No, I mean, that's no problem with that. The important thing is for you to have it. Because once you have it, it means that you don't have to worry about going outside of your region to get it.
Now, the reason I brought it up is because, you know, the worry will be, oh, will there be quality? It will just be schools. But Igbo people have always had academics, some of the greatest academics in Nigeria, in the ivory towers, be they professors of, even down to professors of music. We think of Lars Okwebe, they have, and no matter the area, we've had them. Now, the next thing will be educational strategy. And for that, I think for the first time ever, there's something there. In the sense that this, will I say, not attack, but this JAMB rebuttal was done strategically. And we saw the likes of Alex Onya at the forefront. We now have people who understand education strategy.
Sure.
And so this might be where the Nigeria might have missed a trick. Because now you have the strategists. It's not just the Igbo money now. You have the professors are there.
That's right.
The educational strategists are there. The money is there. And government policy in the East is shifting towards bringing things back.
That's
Do you think that, you know, maybe Nigeria with JAMB was something that maybe needed to happen for the good of the region?
Yeah, you know, I'm trying to remember an adage that answers this. You know, they say every day, I don't want to use this one now, but I mean, everything that starts will eventually end. You know, when it was the turn of Hitler to be powerful, you know, it was there, the Nazi Germany. After everything, Hitler was right at the heights. In fact, he held Europe right under his claw. He was terrorizing everyone until maybe America joined the World War and pressed them back and joined the Allied forces, and the war became easier. And then the Russians held back from the Eastern European side and, you know, fought the war, and everything happened. But find out that after that time, that they suffered because of the activity of one man, what one man created for them. So you can destroy a country because you're trying to discriminate against someone or some people. That's exactly what's happening to Nigeria. You're just destroying the country because of a particular part of the country. Yes, this is the particular part of the country you will not leave alone. When they said, okay, leave us alone then. If you don't care about us, leave us alone, it becomes a problem. Nnamdi Kanu is still being held because of the same thing. So if you don't want to give attention, if you don't want to offer them what they deserve in the union, why do you keep holding them? Why are you holding them back? Because when these conversations are had, people always misunderstand everything to mean that you want to fight a war. No, it's not a war matter. It's a question of fairness. It's a question of equity. If you don't want the sight of them negotiates your right, let them go. It doesn't make sense. That conversation needs to be had. Our politicians are shying away from having it. And I understand why. You can understand why they won't have that conversation. Because at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. If you don't want me, you have to let me go. That's what it is.
I'm glad you mentioned politicians because during this whole saga,
you won't hear them. No.
Right from Midsummer till today, I'm struggling to think of the House of Rep member, Senator.
I think it was only P2B that spoke.
No, in office. I didn't say politician. I mean, in office, actively in office. Where are they?
They won't speak.
Where are their voices? Where are our senators? Where are our reps? Where are our state of assembly members? Where are our governors? Where are our deputies? Where are all these people?
You know, there's something happening in the country. So this is actually not a good time for any politician to come out and say something that will not favor the government of the center. So because that might cost you your re-election. Because everyone I know now that is in Abuja or elsewhere needs re-election. Only a few people. I think, yeah, it's only Hope Uzodinma of Imo State that don't need re-election. Every other person needs re-election.
I think Shema did too.
No. I'm talking about.
Okay, in the southeast.
Southeast.
Okay, in the southeast. Yeah.
In the southeast, only Hope. Every other person can stand for re-election. If you are in the National Assembly, you can stay there till you die if you are able to win elections. So you can understand what's going on. With all the defections you are seeing, this is not a good time to pick a fight with the center. If you want to return.
So we are sitting here and agreeing that our representatives are not representing us. Because if they were, as long as they have us on, like you look at America, there's some senators, some House of Reps, they don't give a damn. Majority of the Green will come and see what she wants to say in the House. Because she knows that in Savannah, Georgia, she's saying exactly what
That's right.
her constituents want her to say on the floor.
Yeah, I mean,
and she will always go back there. So we're agreeing that our elections are
will rise up
by the center.
People will rise up and defect at the floor of the House without consulting their constituents. You know it now, it happens. These guys, some of them are from here, they don't come back. They don't come back. Some of them represent some people that you know. They've never come, they didn't have any discussion with anybody. They will just write a letter and submit to either the Senate President or the Speaker of the House of Reps. So that's how it works. Or those are the House of Assembly. They just write a letter to the Speaker. They didn't discuss with their constituents. But these are people who were voted for on a particular platform. I mean, when people understand some of this, I think the electoral law should be made in such a way that you have to serve out the term you are holding before you seek to leave your party. I think it would be a fair thing to do. Please, you are free to defect, but finish the mandate on that platform first.
Or release the mandate, let's have a re-election immediately.
No, I'm not sure they will agree to that one. Yeah. At least finish.
Test your popularity.
That's the problem. You finish the one now. The mandate, the mandate you are standing on was given to you on a platform. Finish for that. You cannot collect...
use PDP to collect...
Yeah. And then defect. I mean, even it's not fair. It doesn't seem fair.
Because you've used the resources of one party to get into office.
That's why anytime there's a defection, you see the party chairman, national party chairman, coming to cry and say, we're going to court to take it, but finally they don't take it.
You look at all those people who used the obedient movement and they're now defecting to different parties.
2027 is going to be interesting. But what I know is that I think it was Fino that said that in his song. He said, we don't die, we multiply. That's how it will continue to be. You can't black out the Southeast. It is not possible.
Not when the sun rises in the east.
That is it. You cannot black out the Southeast. Even if they're having nightmares about the Southeast is going to rise in a way that nobody can stop it. This is not something human. It is in their destiny. It is in their destiny. And as soon as the country realizes it, that the Southeast holds the key to the greatness of Nigeria. If you look at what has happened in the late 50s and 60s, the way the economy grew, in fact, I have a personal suspicion that the greater part of the reason why that war happened was because of the speed of development in the Southeast. Some people will say, this young man does not know what he's saying. But I have that conviction in my heart that if the Southeast was just a bush in 1966, there wouldn't have been a war. But the Eastern Nigeria had a lot of development based on what was available at that time. When you looked at the whole country, if we didn't have reasonable development, there wouldn't have been anything to come and try to salvage. Because what was it the Nigerian government wanted from Eastern Nigeria? It was to hold them back from leaving the federation and living with infrastructure. And oil has just been discovered. So they didn't want you to move away. And lots of advice from the colonial masters. It was just one complicated thing.
I'm not disagreeing with you. In fact, there's more evidence to support what you're saying than to dispute it. The fact that it was the only region that was recognized as a fast-growing economy
that is it.
By the world.
So you could also see and tell that maybe the war was even beyond Nigeria.
Yeah, because the second part of it, we are well aware that when Murtala Mohammed declared Arewa Republic, he had foreign people tell him, don't do that. You need to calm down. And Because for like 10 days, the flag was flying.
Yeah, but that's it. They were told clearly. They were told, you don't have money. No.
Don't go anywhere.
No,
Stay.
no. And you don't have money to be a republic. They checked their coffers. They didn't have money. Let the truth be told. They were the first persons to say Araba. Araba means that we are moving away from the Union. Yes, when the counter coup happened, they said Araba. They wanted to move away. But they were told, you don't have money to be a country. They told them how much that was available in Lagos at that time. There was no money. There was no money. When Queen Elizabeth came here, it was Ojukwu's father's Rolls Royce that drove her around. That should tell you something. This is not boasting. It is the truth. So if you continue to diminish the contribution of the Igbo man in this country, go on. Duncan Mighty sang a song. The hand of Jesus has buttered our bread. Nobody can take it away. That's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, you can try to romanticize the discussion, but at the end of the day, there's a level to which you might reach someone. You just have to let the person go. Pharaoh and the story of the Israelites in the Bible, it happened. They kept holding on to these guys until he took the 10 plagues. Until their first sons died. Their first sons had to die for them to let the Israelites go. Even at that, they still went after them. And died in the Red Sea. So at the end of the day, maybe something even more destructive will befall the country because they just want to diminish a particular part of the country. You can't be cutting a part of your body because you don't, I don't know, maybe I'm...
When mom will say you are cutting your nose to spite your face.
That's exactly what it is. It doesn't quite me. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because if you leave, you mentioned some areas in Lagos where you have a concentration of people from the southeast.
Yes.
And many of these people build houses.
Almost. They build shops. They build plazas.
But there are people in this country, once they occupy a particular part in your area, they never build it up.
No.
They diminish it. They leave it in ruins when
they don't build anything.
They don't build anything.
They build everything temporary.
Everything they build
is temporary.
Can be destroyed by rain and the sun.
Yeah.
Smelly.
No tax.
Everything.
No rent.
So at the end of the day, there's a song by Daddy Shoki. Says somebody Tuleshe, somebody Daleru. I know what that means.
Yep. We know what that means. Some are builders, some are destroyers. But we would like all Nigerians to be builders because if we all begin to destroy a bit of our country, what will be left? Thank you very much, Alex Ogbodo, for being here. And of course, being the Eastern Eye, opening our eyes
absolutely
to more things. And that's all we can take on the Eastern Business Report. We'll be back with you on Monday when the, of course, exchanges will open for trading. Stay tuned to channel 254 on DSTV, 17 on Go TV, and of course, 748 on Free TV. Till I see you 10 a.m. Monday morning. After your profitable business week, please have some rest.